More developments today in the Digital Vibes contract case that brought down former Health Minister Dr. Aviwe Mtila. Judgment has been reserved in the SIU's joinder application. Now, the Special Investigating Unit wants to add more names of those they believe benefited unlawfully from the Digital Vibes health communication contract. Now, the SIU report believes, and in their findings, that 150 million rand, that contract awarded to Digital Vibes, was unlawful. Of course, that was during Mkize's tenure as health minister. It later came to light the company's owners were his close associates. To get an update on today's developments, I'm joined now by our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila. So, Aviwe, thanks very much for bringing us this update. It's all about the SIU really trying to claw back more money. What exactly is the SIU saying today about the Mkize family and this alleged network of payments around this contract?
Sally, it's basically saying that Digital Vibes was basically a money laundering scheme to benefit the Mkize family. Today, we saw a joinder application by the SIU at the special tribunal. Basically, it wants to add 6 more companies in its bid to set aside the Digital Vibes contract and also reclaim some 150 million from Digital Vibes and the associates. Basically, SIU is arguing that a series of companies linked to the Mkize family was used in a money laundering scheme to siphon money from Digital Vibe. Barry Rue was basically representing the SIU and has the details. Let's just take a listen to his insert a bit earlier on.
In 2011, Mr. Soketla and Mr. Dadani Mkize entered into this agreement, and it's an agreement with Dr. May Mkize that we take over the running of the farm, in a company's name, we're 50-50 and we have a joint venture, and she's really out of it, but in name. Yeah, and they take over the shareholding and everything. And we say, well, we understand why you say it, because an amount of 1.8 million was paid to reduce the liability which Dr. May Mkize had with Itaba Bank in relation to the bonds over the farm Cedar Falls, and Dr. Mkize signed as a co-surety. So we say that's another classic example how money was, the ill-gotten gains was siphoned to the Mkize family. That one is, for example, to reduce the liability of Dr. Mkize and Dr. May Mkize.
But there's real pushback from the Mkize family and others named here, saying that the SIU is totally overstretching and overreaching and being overzealous. Tell us more about the family's legal team response.
Well, that Cedar Falls property mentioned there by Barry Rue is in fact one of the companies that the SIU wants to add to this latest applications. Its sole director is May Mkize, the wife of the former health minister, Aviwe Mtila. Now, we do understand in the allegations from the SIU is that Cedar Falls benefited 1.8 million rand payment made to Itala Bank from Cirilo Trading. Some of the web of allegations and traces that were noted in these payments that were made from Digital Vibes, going right through to some of the companies that are linked, we understand, to the Mkize family. But today we heard from John Pimenta representing Cedar Falls, saying that none of this no facts basically links May Mkize, the wife, and Cedar Falls itself to any of the allegations. Let's take a listen to that earlier insert there.
You will see that a case is made out there that a considerable sum of money was stolen by Digital Vibes, that Digital Vibes then distributed this money in some very strange ways to different people. But as regards Cedar Falls, all you will see against Cedar Falls is this, that the sole director happens to be the wife of the erstwhile Minister of Health. And there are allegations that he and his son and others have benefited from this theft of the 150 million rand from the NDOH. But what you will not see in those papers, with respect, my lady, is anything that points a finger at Cedar Falls or its sole director. Now, yes, Cedar Falls, at the end of all this, is in a position where its account with Tyler Bank has been credited with 1.88 million rand. But as I've suggested in the heads of argument and also in the affidavit, if there is a cause of action, look to Tyler Bank and then leave it to Tyler Bank and Cedar Falls to sort.
So we're also hearing today, apparently, that money flowed from Digital Vibes to Thuso Kuhle, which is a company owned by the son of the former health minister, Judgement Mtila. Tell us more about what you heard today.
So we'd have to start right at the top, Sally, where the money flowed from the National Department of Health to Digital Vibes itself. Then thereafter it flowed to numerous other companies, we understand, in the allegations made by the SIU, up until it landed to that company owned by, we understand, Zweli Mkize's son. But in the counter arguments that we heard today is that, in fact, this money was never held in a separate fund, but in fact it would, for example, move from the National Health Department's banking accounts to the Digital Vibes banking account, mixed with other monies there. So it could never be pointed out as proceeds of crime, and as it moved to the different bank accounts, it would then mix with other monies there as well. So it would never be able to be pointed out as it would be in a separate fund. Something that Gregory Harper, representing Thuso Kuhle, company owned by Judgement Mtila, spoke about extensively there. Let's take a listen to that.
The money was paid from the government's bank to Digital Vibes Bank. It then became wholly mixed up with the rest of the bank's money and lost its separate identity. It was never held in a separate fund. And then the money apparently was paid from Digital Vibes Bank to Mtetwa, and that in fact went to Mtetwa's bank. And there again it was mixed up with that bank's monies. And then eventually it gets down the line to Serela's bank, and again it's mixed up there in monies. And after that to Thuso Kuhle's bank, and again it's mixed up with monies. It's a hopeless case, quite frankly, to attempt to trace that money and say that the money that eventually landed up in the hands of Thuso Kuhle and Serela was the stolen money. It wasn't. It was some other bank's money, and the bank had long since lost its identity.
So, Aviwe, judgment has been reserved in this SIU joinder application to sort of add more names to this attempt to recover Digital Vibes money. Any idea of when a decision is likely?
So there were no specifications, Sally, on that regard. We just heard that the judgment is reserved, and then once the decision has been made, the final outcome has been made, it will then be emailed to the specific attorneys that are representing these various companies. So no specific date, only told that it will be emailed to the various attorneys.
All right, thank you so much for that update. That's our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila.